Viewfinder and Psychonauts 2 are both fantastic games, but while it's helpful to know how good games are, if you're anything like me, you'd like to know how good they are to complete. In this video, we're looking at two games which can both leave your head in a spin, whether that's by warping your perception in Viewfinder or tinkering with the way people think in Psychonauts 2. But will these interesting ideas be bogged down by pointless collectibles and frustrating challenges? Pack some smelling salts, don your thinking caps, and let's burrow in. Adrift in a simulation where 2D photographs can be imprinted onto 3D space, navigate between teleporters as you piece together the story of a team of scientists with unlimited access to time and resources. Sometimes a concept is so good it doesn't need to trip over itself trying to explain how it could exist in reality, and this is quite true with Viewfinder. Rather than focus on the excellent foundation of puzzles centered around the instantaneous ability to stamp geometry over a level to create platforms or subvert obstacles, time is wasted on a surface level story narrating over the player while they try to focus on a solution. This dawdling plot is doubly hampered by voice acting, which floats in the realms of serviceable, leaving you wondering why it's even there at all.
Whoa, you okay? Your vitals look good. I guess we know now that falling doesn't hurt. That's some good news at least.
The long-lasting legacy of Portal and Portal 2 on the genre seems to have left a false impression on the developers that puzzle games always need a narrative stapled on, when in this case, it simply would have been a better game without it. That seems quite scathing, but I've focused on conveying that information because the core premise speaks for itself. I only wish it lasted longer and had a sharper focus, because what's here feels like a strong proof of concept that ends before it shifts into high gear. Now, just before I get into talking about the achievements, on screen I'm about to start going through all the achievements which can only be done in a single level, in order. The idea being you can use this list as you're going through the game to keep tabs on what you need to be looking out for, without just flat out providing you with the exact solutions or positions for any of the collectibles. That way, there's still the tiniest bit of a challenge for you to find these for yourself, but it will save you some time in the post-game cleaning these up, and also you don't need to remember exactly which levels some of these achievements are for. Bear in mind that you can pause the game at any time to see which level number you're currently on at the top of the pause menu, if you're worried about losing track as you're going along. If you do find you've missed any of these achievements, Viewfinder lets you backtrack through the various hub areas freely, albeit you do have to ride around in the tram, which takes a relatively large chunk of time, so that's not great for efficiency. The region-specific collectibles are the most tedious to keep track of, since they aren't found in numerical order as you go through the game chronologically. So hopefully my descriptions on screen are enough to help you track down the last ones you're missing without having to revisit every level. There is a central location in each hub where you can see the collectibles you've already found laid out, so if you can't remember which you've got, you can refer to those. As we approach the last couple on the list here, you might notice that the numbering for the levels in Chapter 4 seems to make no sense. That's because they also make no sense in game, but I've put them in chronological order from the bottom to the top of the tower in Mirren's den, whatever we're going to call it. The truth be told, this isn't a huge game, so you'll be able to mop up in about an hour or two, but even with such a short runtime, the organisation of the levels and poor tracking of collectibles is bad enough that it is going to hamper the final rating. I also really don't care for collectibles in puzzle games. The focus should be on the puzzles themselves, not meaningless tat sat on shelves around corners and all that. No. A lot of the achievements feel like padding to make for the very short game with only a handful of optional levels, so like I said earlier, why are we focusing on all this other side content when the main game needs to be fleshed out more? So yeah, Some of the achievements reward you for playing around in the sandbox and exploring its main concept, but it just doesn't go anywhere near far enough to feel that rewarding. If the lackluster feeling during the post-game had lasted any longer, it would have synced lower for me, but since it's so quick to tidy everything up, Viewfinder manages to hold on at a fairly forgettable but forgivable 4 out of 5. Runaway acrobat turned practitioner of the psychic arts, Rasputin Aquato continues his adventures as a rookie psychonaut, an international organisation specialised to infiltrate the mind and confront inner demons head-on. With the Motherlobe HQ on high alert for a mole, and rumours surfacing that followers of the tyrannical Maligula are attempting to raise her from the dead, can young Raz rise to the occasion?
No, wait. I think that is a bad idea.
Sequel to the cult classic PS2 title, 15 years later the developer-led team at Double Fine have taken all the tried and true elements of a 2D platformer and gone completely hog wild with sci-fi concepts and captivating art direction to craft something truly special. If you ask Tim Burton to direct Inception, you're about 80% of the way to the elevator pitch for Psychonauts 2. Each level sees the player enter the mind of a different member of the game's ensemble cast, embedding their memories, traumas, and conflicts into the very environments themselves. The diegetic exploration of characters and relationships created by this setup is nothing short of brilliant. Whether it's coping with the loss at the bottom of the bottle, problem gambling, or identity crises, the game does not shy away from mature themes. Thankfully, they have the room and respect to breathe, and the narrative and writing is all the better for it. It knows exactly when and how to be funny, and when to be serious. Couple that with a voice acting tour de force led by the iconic Richard Horvitz from Invader Zim and Hell of a Boss, and Psychonauts 2 keeps its hooks firmly synced into the player for the full runtime. When it comes to the achievements for Psychonauts 2, it's the typical collector platformer, so as you'd expect, you need to be picking up all the various different collectibles in the game in their entirety. Thankfully, the game has a number of features which help smooth out this process. So first of all, you can use the game's level select system. You can see there's little tick marks against each area within each level. That tells you if you have successfully mocked up all the different collectibles, so be sure to be using that. For your first time through the game, I would pick up as many collectibles as you spot, like a normal playthrough, but don't worry about absolutely canvassing every aspect of every level. And then once you've actually finished the game, you unlock the ability to buy the auto spot filter for your camera, which you can use in any level to help you spot any missing collectibles, and that works through walls and floors and ceilings. It can be a bit difficult to scour every nook and cranny, particularly in the hub areas, just because there's so much ground to cover, and spotting a weird sort of multicoloured shape at the very deepest areas of your screen can be quite difficult. It's not a terrible implementation of this type of feature without just giving you the locations of any missing figments or whatever outright. So yeah, it will take a little bit of work, but you should be able to do it all without resorting to individually looking through a guide for every potential missing one. With that said, there was a particular stinker of a figment in the Psy King's Sensorium. This is right up at the back where you found the violin by the giant eye character statue thing. There's one tucked away just behind, in case anyone out there's also struggling. You can also view a full list of the levels that you've visited and actually go into a menu which shows you every single figment that you've collected, and that you can use to help pinpoint any that you've skipped over by mistake. The next achievement you need to unlock is Kingpin. This is for purchasing all the pins in the automatic. Highly recommend that the first one that you buy is the VIP discount, which reduces the cost of all other pins by 50%. And then also the mental tax pin, which you can use to quickly farm more Psy. This does tie in also with the nest egg achievement, So once you've obtained both upgrades to the size of your Psi wallet, you then need to farm 5,000 Psi at once. Best way to do this is to head into the collective subconscious, and if you equip the mental collection and then jump between the stray thought nodes, you will very quickly amass Psi, and that's going to save you a lot of time scouring around the various hub areas and levels for Psi. Then once you've filled your boots with that, you're just going to purchase all the pins in the shop, and that's how you get Kingpin. The only properly missable achievement in the game is I'm Always Here For You, Darling. This is for basically having a chat with Mia in her office. So you just want to head there as soon as you're able to, once you become an intern. Before you go to the classroom and continue the story, just pop into Mia's office in the agent's area of the Mother Lobe. That's it, that's it done. My only real point of contention with the achievements in Psychonauts 2 is a few of the scavenger hunt items. So this is for the achievement Keep Your Shirt On, specifically the Psychonaut name plaque, the deck of cards, and the astronaut ice cream, while the others are fairly easy to spot, if indeed still kind of tucked away a little bit. These three are just completely absent. You have to actually know where they are. There's no real indication of how you would find these, but it's not enough for me to bring Psychonauts 2 down from a 5 out of 5. I think this is a truly exceptional game, both to play and complete, and I was more than happy spending more time immersed in its world, getting to explore every nook and cranny, interacting with the characters who are all written magnificently well. Honestly, you're sleeping on this if you don't at least give it a go. You don't need to have played the original, so don't worry about that. There's just going to be a few characters which the game assumes you already know, and a couple nudge references. But other than that, absolutely fantastic, and highly recommend it. Some of you might have realised that these two games are both available through the PlayStation Plus for September. Go ahead and get those for a really cheap discount while there's still some of September left. You might be asking, so why didn't I also cover Stardew Valley? Well, for one thing, Stardew Valley takes a really long time to 100%, but also I actually completed Stardew Valley on PC just before I started this YouTube channel. But if you want to see a little summary of how I feel about Stardew Valley, you can check out my games completed list of 2024. In any case, if you've made it to the end of the video, I hope either you've been made aware of a couple games that you might not otherwise have known about, or I've helped you pin down those last couple hardest achievements. If you want to hit any of those feedback buttons down below, that'd be really helpful and I appreciate it very much. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.